What's up, Warport family? Your boy C-Dub here. And we have to ask, after week 6, is Hugh Freeze still on the same page, or is he on the same page with his starting QB? We'll discuss why we asked that question in a moment. Also, we want to give our thoughts on the state of Auburn football as we're nearing the midway point of the 2024 season. All that and more in today's edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Joe, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
Happy Sunday, everyone. Let's get into the announcements. Mike G, talk to him.
Join as a member. This is an elite choice that you can make for your personal financial life. $5.99 a month will get you there. Guys, there's still a lot of season left, Caesar. We were begging for football, and now it's halfway over. So 6 games into the season, Auburn's seeing some struggles, but the War Report here is going to be here with you guys through it all. Join the Green Name Gang by hitting that join button. Also, give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. We appreciate our community for helping us grow our community. Also, today's segment is brought to you in part by our friends at Vintage 2298 Restaurant and Butcher Shop. If you're in the Auburn area and you're looking for some good eats, they got you covered there at Vintage. Our guy, Randall Baldwin, he's the chef and the owner over there taking care of you guys. And as always, our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron, helping us bring you guys this weekend tailgate. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up to get 15% off your weights. Code TWR to get $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. They're making lifetime products over there at Golden's Cast Iron, and we appreciate them for sponsoring this show. It's that time, guys. You know the deal. Support us by supporting our sponsors. Golden's is great, and they got great stuff there. I've got the grill. B's got the fire pit. You know, you guys got some of the weights. We love Golden's here. You should too.
Let's go ahead and get into it, Mike G. Auburn loses another one. Auburn is in the middle of a 3-game losing skid, falling to Georgia 31-13 in Athens yesterday. Auburn enters the bye week sitting at 2-4. That's a record. Very few Auburn. I don't even think there was many Auburn trolls predicted 2-4 for Auburn at this point. So just kind of level set, like where are you in terms of this team? Obviously there's disappointment. I don't know if you can describe how this has gone without sounding disappointed in what we've seen thus far, but just what are your thoughts about this Auburn team, and what do they search for answers going into the break?
I think that given what happened yesterday in college football season, like madness last night, absolute chaos. Cal had a 25-point lead on Miami, a Cal team that a lot of people agree Auburn should have beat here in Jordan Air. Somehow they had a 25-point lead. The ACC made sure that their flagship team was not going to lose that game. Vandy beat Alabama. Arkansas took down Tennessee. Madness. Everybody's getting wins this year but Auburn. And I think that this loss, nobody expected Auburn to beat Georgia. It's what preceded this game that I think that's got people so on edge about what happened in this game.
Right.
You lost winnable games. And if Vandy can go out, and I don't know if you saw this stat, but obviously Diego Pavia is just a dude, right? Like, obviously he's just a dude. But
put some respect on his name.
Vanderbilt held the ball for 42 minutes versus Bama last night.
That's insane. That's insane.
They executed the only possible game plan they could have to win that game. Now, to put that in perspective for you, Bama had the ball for 17 minutes and still scored 35 points. So the only possible way to win that game for them was to literally just keep the ball away from Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams. which they did, how can Vandy execute a game plan versus probably what Kalen DeBoer, he inherited probably the most talented roster anybody's ever inherited. Ever, in the history of college football. I don't know if anybody's ever stepped into a better talent situation than Kalen DeBoer.
Larry Coker, you can make an argument, but
okay, all right, yeah, right, yeah, it's close, right? And so it's top. Let's say it's top three best situations to step into.
Les Miles, LSU. I mean, you can go on and on and on.
But but like this was, you got a fringe Heisman candidate at quarterback. You know, you've got a crazy recruiting class. You've got the best defense you've ever worked with as a coach. And you got outcoached by a dude at Vandy. And that man, Diego Pavia. So how can they execute a game plan to beat one of the most talented rosters ever assembled? Yet Auburn cannot put together a game plan to beat Arkansas or Cal or Oklahoma at home. That's where fans' frustrations are starting to come in, Caesar. How can you watch it happening all around you, and yet you have, nobody wants to hear. Don't tell me about a talent gap after yesterday in college football. There were talent gaps everywhere between the teams that we saw win and the teams that we saw lose. We were talking about Sam Pittman on the hot seat. He should be firmly off it right now. The board was assembling to fire Billy Napier. He put it on UCF last night. So it's tough. It's just really tough. And we're going to get into some of the comments by Coach Freeze and the players after the game here. But I think that's really what's striking a lot of people is that you're watching it happen all around you and you're wondering, we're paying this guy $6.5 million. Where there should be at least 2 more wins on this schedule. This shouldn't be a 2-14. It should be a 4-2 team.
Right. Mike G, and I think this has been your biggest critique, and it's been my critique this year, is there's so much projecting in terms of the future that you're not working with what you have at your disposal right now. Talent shouldn't be, you don't need talent to be prepared in games. You don't need talent to have situational awareness of what's going on in the game and you're making bad decisions. Talent doesn't have anything to do with clock management, right? That's coaching, that's preparation, that's understanding your opponent, understanding your weaknesses, and forming a game plan, executing a game plan. That is why you see upsets happen, because you have teams that are prepared
to
execute a game plan. You don't need talent to execute that.
That's a great point.
You get in a game with teams and they just beat you despite your execution. Now we can start talking about what they have in talent versus what you lack in talent.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with you. You hear coaches and players talk all the time about being better than themselves, right? We're competing against us. This is about us making sure we're winning every down. We're executing better this week than we did last week, right? I don't know if that's been the focus under Auburn, under this current coaching staff.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of emphasis on what Auburn doesn't have, coming from the top down with the head coach.
Yeah.
And so obviously this guy understands offense, because we're going to talk about some of the areas Auburn has improved. So I don't want this to be a Hugh Freeze slamming session, right?
Right.
But we're seeing what happens when teams are locked in and believe in the game plan, believe in what they're doing. They can shake up college football if they're all on the same page. And that's been the frustrating part.
Okay, so last year when everyone was saying we need talent, we need talent, and I kept saying I think the problems go beyond talent, and you have a system and execution problem, right? Yes. And now you're seeing that there's no amount of talent that will overcome, in some cases, a lack of a good, solid game plan. It's just not. That's where Auburn has found themselves. And that doubles the frustrations with people feeling like some of these comments are throwing the players under the bus when other coaches are finding ways to win with the guys that they have.
Right.
Coming into that game, they had Oklahoma had a freshman quarterback, Michael Hawkins Jr. They couldn't throw the ball a lot, but they just found a way to utilize his talent just well enough to win that game. They needed some help from Auburn, sure. But they were still in position to win it, given the changes they had made at quarterback. Yeah. Tennessee was on fire, as on fire as any other college football team this year. And Arkansas, again, comes in and pulls off a huge upset. They're just, these guys, well-coached teams find themselves in positions to at least attempt to pull off upsets.
Right. Right.
And, I really thought Auburn was going to go into the half 7-3 versus Georgia. I mean, we pulled some numbers, Caesar, of the game last night. And to put it in perspective, before we get into some of the comments from Coach Freeze and Peyton Thorne after the game, you're looking at an Auburn team that has, last night, as a team, right, they allowed 381 yards of total offense on Georgia. Over the last 3 trips to Athens, they have averaged giving up 484 yards of total offense. Yeah. So they did 103 yards better than their 3-year average coming into this game. Conversely, they have only managed 249 yards per game of total offense over the last 3 trips to Athens.
Dating back to 2018, that's what they've been averaging.
Last night, 337 yards of offense. So you did almost 90 yards better there. The scoreboard didn't improve, though, and you lost. So by all intents and purposes, your talent has gotten better. You've closed the gap, at least some. Keandre Lambert-Smith is as good a receiver as Auburn has had in the last 10 years. I wouldn't say that Peyton Thorne had a terrible game yesterday, 16 for 27 for 200 yards. That's not an awful game.
No.
No turnovers, by the way. Not a single turnover by either team in this game. Time of possession was only separated by 3 minutes. It just came down to play calling and execution, if you ask me. And Auburn, we know, has a tighter margin for error than Georgia does, especially in their house.
And I know this has been viewed as Hugh Freeze throwing players under the bus, where he says we don't have the talent level to make the mistakes we're making and win games, right? I think there's some truth to that, but the question is, why are we making? There are certain mistakes we're making that are head scratchers,
right?
Especially at year 2. It's not like this is year 1. You can almost give Hugh Freeze a pass, Mike, if this was year 1, because everything is so new. Why is your returning QB and you not on the same page at week 6 and year 2? Both of you got to Auburn at the same time. Just about.
Right.
Why aren't y'all on the same page? I can understand if it was you and Hank Brown not on the same page.
Yeah.
Why are you and Peyton Thorne not on the same page? We got a clip. Of the 4th and 1. Hugh Freeze was asked about the 4th and 1 play, and we're going to play that. Get Mike G's thoughts. We'll play the another clip, but let's start first with Hugh Freeze comments.
Yeah, it was the call was a dive left to Jarquez, and we didn't execute that play. No. Yeah, he absolutely didn't go with what we had called. Peyton's a thinker, and he knows football, and he decided to try to run some type of zone read there, and I think everybody was a little confused, but we definitely weren't on the same page there, and I should have used one of our timeouts there when I saw things were going awry. But you know, that's something we've got to learn from. And again, we've got to coach better to where that's really not an option in that moment in time. That was a big drive, man. We were moving the ball, and so we've got to talk through that one and make sure that doesn't happen.
All right, Mike. Said a lot there. But the frustrating part, and this is where I want you to take this. This isn't something we haven't heard, right?
Yep.
Hugh Freeze talks about what happened. He talks about the execution of whatever they called, and then he comes back and says, "We, the coaching staff, has to coach them up better." But this is becoming a bit of
it's game 6.
It's becoming repetitive to the point where it's just like, dude, what are y'all doing at this point? What are your thoughts?
I don't understand that comment. This is, you pick this quarterback. This is your guy. So if you're telling me that he went out there and ran something or did something that wasn't called, do you remember last year? There was a game, I think it was Ole Miss, maybe. Robbie took the first snap of the game, and it was supposed to be a handoff to Jarquez, but he pulled it.
Yeah.
And look, man, Peyton got in front of the media and was just like, we just got to run the plays that's called. And, you know, I had questions, but at the end of the day, if that's what was called and he pulled it, that was on him.
And we understood why Robbie didn't get a lot of opportunities after that.
Yeah. Because if you're going to go out there and just do the opposite of what the coach is telling you to do, then okay, like we get that. that's 100% understandable.
So
isn't this the same thing though? Is this the same thing though?
So, and I thought about this after our show because people were asking how come Freeze doesn't give other people reps, and we agreed that he is comfortable with Peyton Thorne. However, to people's argument, though, and to where you were going, Mike, if there's a case where Peyton Thorne isn't doing what you're asking him to do, and yet you're giving him grace you wouldn't give others,
right? What's
going on?
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. This is confusing. After every game, we're hearing this is what was supposed to happen. This is what happened. Your game 6, it's still happening. So ultimately, any personnel or player issues you have are on you. These are your guys. I don't want to hear about, well, Carson left us in this spot or Gus left. No, man. Come on, dude. Jarquez is a Harsin guy, sure, but nobody's sitting here blaming him.
Right.
A large percentage of this roster, they're your guys. It's been constructed by you. As a matter of fact, from year 1 to year 2, it's been constructed, deconstructed, and reconstructed to some extent. If we're talking about his wide receiver room. So I have trouble, but there was a follow-up, Caesar. There was a follow-up. Peyton Thorne made some comments, and we want to make sure we play that as well too.
So, in light of because people hear what Hugh Freeze said in a vacuum, but no, the media met with Peyton Thorne, and this is what he had to say when asked about that 4th and 1 play.
Well, we're running a run play. I had an option to throw it to, and the look that I got, we had a guy that I needed to handle and moved back out of his original position and ran the play. I think it was number 11 came off the edge hard, and that's the guy I was reading. And I don't want to get into too much detail on that. I guess I could tell you the whole thing, but I don't think so. I shouldn't.
All right, Mike. All right. Mike, I'm just going to say it.
All right.
Somebody lying. Somebody's
capping, right?
Somebody is lying. I don't know who, but someone is lying.
He started that by saying we ran the wrong play. And Free said essentially there was no read, just handed to the Jarquez. He's saying I'm reading number 11 He came off the edge, and if anything, okay, let's just give everybody the benefit of the doubt here and say nobody's lying. The confusion between quarterback and coach in this should be concerning.
Sure.
Let's just say they both thought that, right, what they said was true. The confusion, not being on the same
thing. Here's the thing.
Crazy.
There's when you say dive, that implies no other option.
Yeah.
It's a running back dive, right? How does your quarterback, your fifth-year quarterback, fourth year as a starting quarterback at the P4 level, how does he think there's an option there?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand the confusion there.
And if you see, and I see Rick saying he changed the play at the line, but Hugh has to see that too.
Right. So he's saying I should have called a timeout. Right. And I agree if you're not on the same page.
You should have.
At this point, if you can't just line up and execute a simple halfback dive, which is what Hugh was saying, it's like, okay, how do you expect to win games against teams that are better than you? At the end of the Bama game, I don't know if you saw this, but it was like a read option type play that they were running to the left side of their line. Pavia pulled it, and the first down effectively ended the game. There was a hilarious clip of Lane Kiffin in his press conference watching it and being like, does Bama have any more timeouts? Wait, I'm sorry. What was the question? What were you asking me? I'm sorry. This is kind of historic what's happening on the screen, right? This is Lane Kiffin verbatim. And when they needed that first down, they just executed a simple read option where the QB kept it. He got the first down. Game over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I go back to, I think what's hard for fans is you're watching this happen all across college football last night. You're watching teams with seemingly less talent than Auburn execute simple plays to win games against teams that are much more talented than them. Now, should Auburn be undefeated right now? That's not what I'm saying. But in these 4 losses, there's a pattern of being unable to execute what's called this should absolutely be concerning. And let me tell you something better. This is why I have such an issue with the idea of labeling this a rebuild and then acting like the rebuild is the reason that Auburn is not winning games right now.
Right.
We argued about this. Is it a rebuild? Okay, like, yeah, sure. In maybe a really technical sense, it's kind of a rebuild. But to me, when you say rebuild, it means we don't have enough talent to win, and we need to completely remake the roster. You have enough talent to win.
You're blaming the loss on the talent deficit.
Right. Figure out something your talent can do.
The film is showing other clear issues going on with your team.
Yeah. The confusion between coach and quarterback on that 4th and 1, it's not a talent issue. It's a coaching issue. Coach is saying that's not what was called. Player saying this is what was called.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mike. This was after I'm pretty sure y'all talked about this when he came back to the sideline, as you can obviously see on TV. They discussed this.
He was reaming them out on the sideline.
So that's why I'm saying I'm hearing 2 conflicting things, because one person swears up and down the complete opposite happened of what the other person is saying. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Right.
It's an issue. How does Auburn moving forward? Because again, this has been a pattern dating back to Cal this season, right? You expected your QB to make a different read, but he goes down the sideline to Cam Coleman, who's clearly injured on that play. Peyton Thorne may not have known it at the time, but Peyton Thorne had predetermined where to go with the ball. Hugh Freeze expected him to make a different read. This has been a pattern. So moving forward, going into the bye week, if Auburn is going to make even more improvements as a team in these moments, how do you correct this?
Yeah, it's so wild. Missouri's beatable. Kentucky's beatable. Obviously, ULM is beatable. Vandy's beatable. Right? Yeah, right. So there are 4 more wins left on the schedule. Certainly, can you win them? Is the question. That's always been the question. Where do they go from here? Or you're the bye week. What are you reassessing at this point? I don't understand. If you're making the call and you're just not executing it, and you don't have guys who can execute it, he said the week before, I got to go out and find a QB who's not going to throw it to the other team 2 weeks ago. So, like, I'm tired of hearing we got to coach it harder. I don't think I think you got to coach it correctly. And I think you have to call it correctly. Now, if you go back and you look at that 4th and 1, regardless, what were the options? There were no options, but I didn't see an option. I didn't see an option for Peyton Thorne to throw the ball. He was either giving Quez or he was keeping it.
Right.
And even if he had given it to Quez, like, where was he going? There were 2 defenders, like, standing right there in front of him.
Like, Georgia was waiting on whatever
whoever did. Yeah, Georgia was waiting there.
They was waiting on it. Again, as I said yesterday, Auburn made a call. Georgia made a better call. We can argue what you thought, who said what. It wasn't going to work.
It wasn't going to work regardless of who had the ball. I don't think it was going anywhere. So the outcome of the play is not as much, to me, the concern I want to reiterate as it was just the confusion between the coach, the quarterback, and everybody else involved in that play. Now, we have a Percy Lewis-sized conversation that we're going to be having all week as well, too. That young man did not have a good game.
No, he did not.
He didn't have a good game. And we don't want to beat up on players. But there may have to be another option there as well, too. It was a lot. Auburn was going to have to play a perfect game to win. Obviously, they were going to have to play a perfect game to win. And I will die on this hill. DJ Durkin's defense is doing what he can with what he has to produce the best possible outcome he can with the players that he has. And if this offense were performing at least on a level that the defense is performing with the guys that they have, you might be sitting here at 5-1 or at least 4-2. But I think the other side of the ball is a perfect example of maybe the talent gap there is why you're not seeing better results. But man, in today's college football, giving up only 81 yards of total offense to this team is crazy. Now, Alabama did a good job on Georgia last week, Caesar, in their 41-34 loss. But they ended up they gave up 547 yards to Alabama, but Alabama still gave up 519 yards to this team. Carson Beck went into Tuscaloosa and put up 519 yards of total offense on Alabama. Auburn went into their house in Athens and only gave up 381. I know the defense is not perfect. I'm not absolving them of any blame. I just think a lot of people are hyper-focused on things that they're doing because things are going so bad offensively. I think they've maxed out, honestly. Defensively, I think they've maxed out with what they can accomplish with the guys that they have, with the talent levels that they have, and the experience that they have on that side of the ball. I got zero issues with DJ Durkin. None. And I believe if he stays the defensive coordinator, it will continue to get better and better on that side of the ball. Auburn's problem throughout the years, no matter who the coach is, has always been, can we find an offense that works, and can we just get to a minimum amount of points to have a chance to truly win the game? Yesterday, you scored what, 13?
13 and left points on the board.
Yeah, how many games are you going to win scoring 13 points in today's college football? I don't care who the opponent is. You're only going to score 13 points. You can lose to anybody on your schedule.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the halfway point, guys. You are watching the weekend tailgate. We're going to just talk kind of state of the program in a minute and just kind of where Auburn is sitting at 2-4. But Do us a favor, share this video, smash that like button, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Let's pause, come back, read some of your comments, and we will proceed with the next topic.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
You guys know the deal. Sign up, become a patron member. $5.99 a month will get you there. Continue to grow our Green Name Gang. 244 people watching. Should all be Green Name Gang people. I'm just saying. This show is brought to you in part by Joy Mode. Visit tryjoymode.com and use code REPORT for 20% off plus free shipping. If you wanted to recover from the game last night in a different kind of way, Joy Mode has you covered. Imagine your favorite greens pack that you can put in about 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before you're ready to do the business and watch the magic happen. Visit tryjoymud.com and use code REPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping. Also, when you're ready to chill after that, our friends at Rogue Shop have you covered. RogueShop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off on your Rogue Shop order. Guys, here's something that we need you to do that is absolutely free and definitely helps us out a lot. But 235 people watching. I'm sure not all of you have downloaded the Autograph app. Visit your phone's app store today and download Autograph. Autograph is your one-stop shop for all your team news, articles, and podcasts. Every article read, every podcast listened to earns you points of fandom. You can use those points to get discounts on tickets to games. Speaking of games, Auburn has a few home games left. If you've been unable to score tickets, you can do so through the Autograph app. Best of all, no fees ever when you purchase through the app. Download Autograph in your phone's app store today and use code REPORT so they know that the War Report sent you.
All right, let's get back into it. Some of you guys in the comments, we'll get to some of y'all as well as any super chats we got. Scandalous Misconduct just became a member. Welcome.
Scandalous Misconduct.
Absolutely. Chris Stiff says Vandy has a winner at QB. That's the difference.
Really hard to win in today's college football without dynamic quarterback play. And, you know, having a guy who can just go get you the yards when need be or make the throw when need be is a barrier for entry into the winner circle that Auburn seems to struggle with year after year. So I agree. Pavia is a winner.
Yeah,
a lot of folks wanted us to go get him in the portal.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. Tatiana says fixing to be 2-6.
Tatiana's lack of bug, I think, it's symbolic of kind of like the death of enthusiasm in the fan base. When somebody who is your ultimate cheerleader is finally like, F it, we suck. You're losing people. You got to find something here, Hugh. Like beat Missouri, in 2 weeks, and maybe you can pull some of this back.
Yeah. Jonathan Hubbard says because they execute a plan compatible with the personnel on the team.
Yeah. Speaking of the other teams that are pulling out wins that, technically on paper, they're not supposed to get. No way on earth Vanderbilt should ever be able to beat Alabama. But you can get out coached. And when I told every Alabama fan preseason, Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. That would have never happened to a Nick Saban team. I don't care what you say. It would have never happened to a Nick Saban team.
Right. Jonathan Hubbard says 5-14 against FBS competition under Hugh. Not good.
Is that right? That's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
They lost 14 games under Hugh already? Okay. Can that be right?
I don't know.
They lost 6 and 7.
How many games have how many games have Auburn played so far this season? 6?
6. So you got 4 losses. You got 10 and 7 losses, so 11. There's at least 11 losses on the schedule.
Yeah, I don't know if he's counting other places.
Okay,
I don't know if he's counting other places. So since Liberty maybe. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 14.
Let us know. Let us know,
10.
Jonathan. Respond back, Jonathan. Let us know what this includes. Because Hugh hasn't even completed. That's a good point, Mike. He hasn't even completed year 2 yet, and I don't think he's coached. I don't even know he's probably at 19 games now, but I don't think we've lost that many.
Yeah.
Don Cullen says, Mike, are you saying that Coach Hugh Freeze is a part of the problem?
I'm saying that whenever you have systemic issues and you have widespread coaching issues where you're constantly saying maybe we got to coach it better, then yes, 100%. But he's saying that, I don't know, like it's not. This is what he's saying. He's saying this in the media. We got to coach it better. We got to coach it better. Well, that's your issue, right?
Right.
If he felt like you were coaching it the best he could, then I assume he would just say, look, man, we have to execute. We got to execute.
In my personal opinion, Mike, I think, the media has to make up their mind. Do you want coach speak or do you want honesty with some of these coaches, right?
Yeah.
And this is why coaches are guarded with their answers when dealing with the media. Because one of the things that I still appreciate and I find it refreshing is a coach who's just being honest. I don't think Hugh Freeze is necessarily throwing players under the bus because if you're listening to him in context, he's basically critiquing the whole program from coaches to players to everybody, right? However, if you're critiquing the coaches and players week after week after week, to your point, you have a systemic issue within your program. You as the head coach are responsible for addressing those.
Right.
So I don't know how you speak to that issue and not rope in Coach Hugh Freeze as a part of the problem.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like I said, it starts at the top. Yeah, there's no way to speak to it without saying that he's not part of it. Like you're either it's him or the players. You pick. Which one do you think it is?
Yeah. JJ Brand says Coach Hugh Freeze recruited Hank to Liberty and again to AU. So why does he treat him like a redheaded stepchild? Thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I know it's tough, right? Like I keep getting this question and I keep reminding people he's been recruiting Hank Brown since the 10th grade, which ultimately is maybe why Hank got a shot. But with the way that line was playing last night, with Hank's not very mobile. Maybe he felt like Peyton still gives us our best shot. He can get us out of some things with his legs. Certainly they were having a little bit of offensive line issues last night, but the opponent has to be considered here, right? Georgia was always going to get pressure. They were going to do it. That's what they do. That's still a very, very good defense they were going up against. I think that's why most people are saying like, hey, we're not really, you understood who you were playing last night. Nobody expected Auburn to really win that game, but there were some things that were fixable there that like would have made the game a little closer. And at the end, you're thinking, oh man, we gave it our best effort and just came up short. But I think that there was some effort left out on the field there last night. And that's what most people have an issue with. So could Hank Brown have helped you with that? I'm not sure that he could have. Not last night.
Right. And then again, if you factor in some of the other systemic issues, I don't know if
Hank's not going to say
this stage of his career can overcome that. And I just think Hugh has put himself in a position where he doesn't feel comfortable developing a QB in the midst of this. Right? He's trying to win with someone that he feels gives him the best chance, and that's an experienced QB. And I think that makes me worry about the future of the QB room because of where this program is under Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
I don't know if younger guys out of high school are going to get the shot they need because Hugh Freeze has pressure on him to win, especially given the hole he's dug himself into. TJ Lou says, so Thorne's still out here making his own decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It depends on who you ask. If you ask Peyton, we played the clips for you guys. You decide.
You decide.
Yeah, you decide.
Yeah, there. Y'all decide that. I just said someone is Cap. That's all I said.
All right.
Somebody is Cap.
Yeah, that's why we played the clips. because somebody's gonna leave here and they're gonna go say the war report. No, war report say nothing. You listen to the two of them and you tell me what you think about it.
Name cannot be blank. Says the key to success is 27. Number 27. Like carry on in 2017, Hunter should be given 25 plus touches a game, and the coaching staff has to figure that out, not Peyton Thorne.
Let me see here. How many carries did Jarquez have last night? He had 13 touches last night. He went into the fourth quarter with 91 yards and 11 carries, and he came out of the fourth quarter with 13 yards and still 91 yards.
Yeah.
I'll say that again. He went into the fourth quarter with 91 yards on 11 carries, and he came out of the fourth quarter with 91 yards on 13 carries.
Auburn wasn't trying to give him the ball in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
the deficit they were in. But again, I'm starting to wonder, Mike, is this just Hugh Freeze's offense? Because you remember when we said, I couldn't think of a breakout running back in Hugh Freeze's offense, but I think that's probably by design of what Hugh Freeze is trying to do in games with the RPO. I just don't think the featured running back, regardless of talent, is going to be a featured back in this offense. I think there's other things that Hugh Freeze is trying to run and do. And this is consistent. This is just consistent with what we saw when he was at Ole Miss. I didn't see a running back getting 25 plus carries a game.
Right.
I didn't see that when he was at Ole Miss. And we're not seeing it now. And I am starting to settle into the fact that this is what life is going to be like for the running back room.
Yeah. Facts.
Reed Minor Drum says, Mike, I remember you saying that you asked Kalen DeBoer about how his defense would translate to the SEC, and he just said something to the effect of it will work. Past two games beg to differ.
Yeah. At media days, as a matter of fact, Reed, I asked, and it was about defense. Like, look, man, how are you going to be prepared for some of what you're going to see in the SEC? And he just said, like, look, man, we do what we do. It's worked everywhere we've gone. And I'm like, all right, the SEC just kind of hits different, though. It does. I didn't think it would be Vandy that proved my point, but here we are.
Right. Go figure.
Go figure. Vandy was the one to prove it. They carried that goalpost 3 miles last night, Caesar, to dump it into the river. Wow.
As they should.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the kid who's like walking with the goalpost and he's like, I don't even go here. This ain't even my school. Let's go.
We did it. Wizard Dragon says Auburn 8-11. 8-11 at Auburn. Okay,
8-11. That sounds a little bit better. Yeah, I think it's 11 losses so far, right? You got 4 this year, 7 last year.
Could be more when the season's said and done. Could be
it's going to be more. Yeah.
Anthony Long says, how is that Coach Hugh Freeze wants to have competition at every position but QB? 6 quarters of playing time is not giving Hank an opportunity. Peyton Thorne's decision making is costing us games. The argument here, Mike, is if you're going to lose and develop your QB room.
Is it Peyton's decision making that's really costing us games at this point? I'm not sure that it is. I don't think it's his decision making. I think that it's some of the decisions that are being made for him because he's not calling his own plays. You're the one who keeps putting him in these positions. This is understanding your talent and what they're capable of and what they're good at. That's what high level coaches do well. They understand what their guys can and can't do, and they don't put them in positions to have to make calls that they're likely to fail at. You've got plenty of tape on Peyton, so you have to know what he can and can't do at this point and be like, look, we can't. To some extent, we saw that yesterday, and this is the point I want to make to Anthony. How many balls did you see thrown over the middle of the field yesterday?
Not many.
Oh, man, right? Because throwing the ball over the middle of the field, it requires decisiveness. It requires decision. Accuracy, right? Like, it is high-level decision-making when throwing the ball over the middle of the field. Clearly, they don't trust him to do that versus this defense. So they just stayed away from it. The problem with that is that it shrinks the field for the defense when you only have to guard the boundaries, and it puts more stresses on other parts of your offense. So Jarquez didn't have a choice. He had to go off. Auburn might not have scored a single touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. I think it's tough, but that's where Auburn is at. These are the quarterbacks he picked. You didn't go after one in the portal, man. You told the world that if I put better pieces around Peyton Thorne, we'll see a better Peyton Thorne. Well, you did that. And I would argue we have seen a better Peyton Thorne, but the play calling is still holding him back a little bit as well, too.
Well, I want to ask you a question about that in a minute when
Sure.
it comes to play calling. Courtney Chandler with the 499 Super Chat says, if we beat Vandy, we can at least say we do lose the say we did not lose the Vandy. Continue the great work. Courtney, C, and T Talking Tigers. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Courtney.
Beating the team that beat Alabama is definitely banner worthy. Hang the banner, Caesar. This season, hang the banner. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're trolling at this point, so absolutely. Absolutely. Name cannot be blank says agreed. A strong running back isn't the Coach Hugh Freeze MO, but that goes back to making a game plan for the current personnel to win now versus we don't have the talent. Now, I agree with that.
That's all I've been saying for the last year.
I 100% agree with that.
Stop blaming the talent and make a game plan for the talent that you have to get wins now and then improve it as you go.
Right. But what this is doing, what this is saying to me, what this is proving to me is Hugh Freeze's success has been dependent upon his system working, just like Gus. Your system has to work. You can't engineer an offense that is efficient and effective year after year to fit personnel. The personnel has to fit your system. And I was hoping Hugh Freeze wasn't that guy, but it's starting to look more and more like that.
Yeah.
Ben Bloodworth says, what do y'all think about going for the field goal that was blocked instead of the touchdown? I think this was at the end of the first half, I think, where he kicked that 54-yarder. Was at the end of the first half. Auburn tried to bring it within one score, and it got blocked. I think.
Why am I drawing a blank on this?
You know what? I think, Ben, to Mike G's point that he made previously, I think that this coaching staff has gotten really conservative, and they truly have. Hugh Freeze talked about this, I think, after the Cal game, where he mentioned about shrinking the playbook a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think this is what you're beginning to see. Like, Auburn isn't running with tempo. Auburn is trying to play time of win, at least be in the time of possession battle, right? Yeah. You may not win it, but there was a large disparity between Auburn and Cal in that game because Hugh Freeze was truly trying to run his offense. And I think when you begin to dial a lot of stuff back, the type of plays that you would normally call have already been scraped from your playbook. So you almost have to just kind of take what you can take. I'm not mad at that call because Auburn was already you if you make that field goal, you're within a
14-6. 14-6, yeah.
And then Jarquez score is 13-14 in the second and early in the second half.
Yeah, you know, here's my thing too. I was shocked that we didn't see McPherson yesterday. I thought for sure we were going to see Alex McPherson yesterday after the day Towns had last week. So, man.
So I think, to me, I think this is a consequence of the fact that you've already taken a lot of those plays that would have marched you down the field out of your playbook.
Right.
Because you don't trust your QB to make those throws. So here's my question to you, Mike. State of the program and where we are. This offense, for some of the good that we did see, this Auburn offense is not too far off from last year's offense. Because there was a lot that Auburn didn't do last year with Peyton Thorne because they didn't trust him. Hugh Freeze has a losing record at this point in year 2.
Yep.
Talent is better. And for the most part, I'm seeing an Auburn team that is putting more, they have more yards, offensive yards. Defense is playing fairly well. I can see the improvement, but it's not showing up on the scoreboard. Is Auburn close to turning the corner, or is this just a team? Is this the best Auburn we're going to see this year? Just what are your thoughts in terms of state of the program? Because there are some things that's haunting Hugh Freeze now. His decision not to get a portal QB, that's kicking his behind at this point.
Yeah.
Especially when the guy who people wanted him to get rescued his team from Miami. I mean, from Cal, right? What do you make of where Auburn is? And can Auburn begin to, is this improvement? Or will we know until we face off against Missouri and Kentucky?
I think that when you have systemic issues, it's subjective from week to week. And you can't necessarily just build on what you did last week because your opponents are different and you find new ways to mess it up. And Auburn just keeps finding ways to lose games. That's what we're seeing this year. So is this the best that it's going to be? I think so. I was asked the question last week and the week before about whether Auburn would make a bowl game. And my answer was a resounding no. Because you got to win 4 more games this season, and maybe you can count ULM to get you to 3. But can you guarantee a win other than ULM on the rest of this schedule? The way that you're playing, you've run the gamut in terms of types of teams that you've lost to. You've lost to teams that are better than you. You've lost to teams that you're better than. You've lost to teams with a bunch of injuries. Come on, man. Oklahoma had their whole offense out. You couldn't find a way to beat that team in your house. You had 8 home games this year, and I think that a lot of people felt like Auburn might be able to at least go 7-1 at home, defend home court, and then maybe steal one on the road, and that's how you get to 8 wins this year. No one could have predicted a 2-3 start at home.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that given the games that you have lost, this is about what are you expecting? You're expecting to suddenly be a good road team after you couldn't win a game at home? What clicks? If it's going to click for anybody, it's going to click for the coaching staff and their approach to the game. That's where I would need to see the biggest change to say, okay, we're going to try some different things here. Let's get guys off the bench. Let's get Perry and Malcolm in the game. Let's figure out a way to create even more big plays than we've already created. If you can't do that, then you're going to have a lot of issues, I think, trying to find ways to win games moving forward. Because game planning seems to be much better around the conference. We're seeing some outstanding game plans being put together around this conference right now.
The coaching, even with Nick Saban retiring, it's insane.
I asked this every media days. I asked Saban this 2 media days ago, and I've asked DeBoer this on some level. I've asked Freeze this. I think part of the challenge in the SEC is not just that you're playing against the best players, it's that you're coaching against the best coaching minds in the business week in and week out. Look at what Travis Williams is building at Arkansas right now. This is a guy that did not get retained on Harson's staff. Quietly, he's put together one of the best playmaking defenses in the conference. They've still got a ways to go in terms of closing the talent gap that other schools have on them because it is Arkansas. But the results have been good.
He's making a case for somebody to come snack, a big school to come get him.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Shout out to T-Will.
Yeah, I love what they're doing there. Sam Pittman, again, sticking to the vision, understanding that he's outmanned in almost every single regard there.
And I think, too, I think Arkansas, and it's sad you got to use Arkansas as a reference for this, but what this tells me is that you can fix this. Arkansas is proof that you can fix this, right? You may not fix it this year, but you can fix this. And so you're going to have to look at the things that are plaguing just what you do as a team, just how you prepare, what you expect of these players, how you're communicating,
right?
The identity. Are you getting the most out of your players by focusing on what they do well and calling less of what they don't do so well, and then recruit based off of what you're not doing well.
Right.
I don't know what this team looks like coming out after the break, Mike. I don't know how much different they look. But again, as we've argued to an extent, because I do think Hugh Freeze is catching a lot of heat for not getting a portal QB. But a lot of Auburn's issues and losses this game, which has been frustrating for fans, hasn't been because of a lack of talent. You didn't need a lot of talent to beat Cal. You didn't need a lot of talent to beat an Arkansas. You had Oklahoma on the ropes and let them off the hook. There's some things that Auburn has to fix within itself to where you're not finding ways to lose games.
Yeah. This is why I keep saying this. This is why I think I have such a big problem with the word rebuild being used to describe the problems that Auburn is having right now, because it puts the onus on the players for your mismanagement.
Yeah.
You didn't go out and get a QB, and now you're blaming everybody and their mom because you didn't go out and get a QB. Understanding your system needs something better than what you had in the room to make it work. Or do you have it in the room and you're mismanaging it still? Right? Is there a coach that could take Peyton Thorne and say, you know what? We can get the most out of this QB. Understanding what situations he thrives in and what situations he does not. I'm just not sure it's you. At some point, Hugh says a lot that at some point the tape has to become the resume for the players. And I would counter that at some point their tape has to become your resume as a coach. The things that they're doing on the field have to become you have to own that.
Right.
All these kids don't suck. That's why I defended last year's wide receiver room so much. I'm like, yes, they may not be world beaters, certainly, but they're certainly better than what they're being painted out to be.
Right.
I don't know, man. Peyton's taking a lot of heat, but I think that he's just as much a victim in this as everybody else. I do. I think him and Hank are victims of this, right? Like,
well,
personally.
I mean, definitely last week's game against Oklahoma. Like, I threw all that at Hugh Freeze because you shouldn't put him in that position where he's having to determine whether or not he's going to run.
There was a better play call. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's on Hugh. That's on Hugh. So some of the things you don't even see Peyton Thorne do if you just put him in positions to close out the game. He didn't have to be a hero.
Yeah.
He didn't have to be a hero.
Ben Bloodworth, you wild into the comments, bro. I can't with you. I'm not gonna put that up, but that's funny.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's
do that,
funny,
please.
bro. You're funny. He's funny. That.
Let's get to this. Tiffany B says beating Vandy would be awesome, but the ultimate troll job would be beating Vandy and Bama. Both are possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But which version of an Auburn team is going to walk into Tuscaloosa and get a win? Because it took Georgia almost all they had, right? And they almost pulled it off there. They held the lead for 13 seconds after one of the greatest comebacks I think I've ever seen on the road. I don't know. That comeback, if they had pulled it off, would have rivaled Auburn down 24-0 versus Bama in 2010. Yeah. It would have been one of the most epic comebacks ever.
Yeah, it definitely would have. And for Auburn to beat Bama, you're talking about you have figured some stuff out.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not beating yourself anymore in games.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Long says, 5th-year senior, and we have to shrink the playbook. We aren't serious. It's frustrating to see the rest of the FCC have fun. We want to have fun too.
Yeah, everybody. I was joking. That SEC Shorts segment that they put out this week is going to be one of the most epic skits ever created in the history of improv. It's going to be so amazing. I cannot wait for it. But yeah, he's right. Everybody's having fun this week. Everybody but
Momo.
Yeah.
No, well, it's not fear of missing out. We are missing out.
Even Bammers are having fun poking fun at themselves today. Like, That's the extent to which everybody else is having fun, because they're still sitting on a 1-loss season where they could possibly make the playoff, right? Like even Alabama fans are having fun saying this is so bad it's hilarious.
I saw someone said, "Dude, we just lost to Grey's Anatomy."
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So yes,
Yeah.
to your point, yes, they can
They're
laugh at
having
themselves.
so much fun poking fun at themselves right now.
Yeah. Ahmed says, "How far are we going to let this elite recruiting intone buy time for Hugh Freeze?
One more offseason.
As much as I've hated the trustees mailing the past, where are they?
Yeah, one more offseason. That's it.
This is year 3.
Yeah,
you're now year 3.
Yeah,
and
one more offseason.
now because Hugh Freeze made it seem like, hey, if I don't get a top 5 recruiting class by year 3, I'm in trouble. Well,
you got it.
You're on your way.
You're on your way to a top 2 if they flip offered. So look, man,
what's up?
Go find a quarterback that can save your job, flat out. To go find a quarterback. Cam Ward would have absolutely turned the tide on this season this year.
Yeah,
he would have. Look at what he's doing. Cam Ward would have absolutely had this team 5-1 and maybe with some luck 6-0. But if that's what you need to run your stuff, just make sure you go out and get that guy. That's not any different from any Auburn coach that's come before, which sucks. You need a hero at quarterback.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, like if that's what you need, just make sure you go get that guy at any cost.
And it almost, and again, I'm not here yet, Mike, but the reason why you need him is because he atones for deficiencies in your system.
Yeah.
Right? Like Cam Newton atoned for flaws in Auburn's system.
Yep.
Right? So that's why you need that guy, is because there's some flaws there, and an amazing athlete covers a multitude of those sins.
Agreed.
Darius Lee says stars mean nothing, all about the will to win and coaching. Pavia beat AU in Jordan-Hare Stadium and #1 Alabama and was unrecruited. AU has coach and culture issues. I'm not going to say stars mean nothing.
Yeah.
Because this Vandy team still lost to Memphis.
Yeah, they can mean. I think the point is that they can not mean nothing if you have issues that are big enough elsewhere.
Right.
Stars aren't always going to cover a multitude of coaching issues, and I've been saying this for years, and people just kept going down my throat about like, well, if you just execute plan. No, man, you can execute a bad plan and it can still not work.
Sure.
Right. And or you can have a bad plan that is hard for players to digest and execute, or it could be not what they're good at.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue to force a square peg down a round hole, or are you going to figure out which pegs go in which holes? Come on, man.
Pause. But but to Darius's point, yes, culture issues is definitely plaguing Auburn. I agree with the latter part of his comment here, because this is what we're talking about. Dustin called it a culture of losing. Auburn has been losing, looking for it, creating ways, inventing ways, it seems, to lose games. That is something that hasn't been corrected for 3 coaches now.
Right.
And it has to get corrected, or else you're just going to have a lot of frustrated 4- and 5-star talent on this roster, probably looking to leave.
Yeah.
So to your point, yes, stars doesn't fix everything, but it definitely helps. It definitely helps. Now the pressure is on you as a coach to be able to do something with that talent. Black Wing says, what QB does Freeze get in the portal? TBD.
TBD. Yeah.
TBD. TJ Lou says Bo Nix would have ate with this talent.
Or would Freeze have found a way to mess him up?
It's TBD.
Right. This is my whole thing, right? Again, you want him to be the savior. That I don't think that's ever been Bo's thing. Like he needs a good system, and
he had a good system in Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
He had a good system and a good situation going for him at Oregon.
I mean, until they ran into Georgia, but right.
I mean, that was game one. But yes,
correct.
To your point,
you understand? It looked a lot of the same. I'm telling you, man. He's not going to be the thing that saves you versus a team like Georgia.
Yeah,
he's not. Most, and this is not a knock on Bo. I'm saying most players need that. There are very few that could come in and just rescue something that and make it look like it works. Does Gus's offense win a national title in 2010 without Cam Newton? No.
It didn't afterwards. It almost did.
Cam made play calling easy for them.
Right.
Let's be clear. A lot of things you could call with Cam Newton at quarterback. Yeah.
He fixed a lot of problems that were inherent with that system. That you don't see those problems with Cam Newton there.
Yeah. It was okay without him because Chris Todd set records for Auburn passing touchdowns with Gus at OC.
Nick Marshall looked amazing.
Correct. Yeah. You get a once in a lifetime. There's a lot of places Cam would have gone and probably won a national title with a coach who reasonably understood how to use his talent.
Right.
But he didn't have one other offensive player on that team in 2010 get drafted. So I would argue that's not a system that necessarily got the most out of the players, more so than it was just one that utilized one player's extraordinary talents.
Right.
Cam Newtons are few and far between. They are. I stop expecting players to save you, man. You're the coach. You're supposed to save them.
Right. Tim Toolmain Taylor says those New Mexico State jokes look really funny and the like now that Bama lost to the same QB. Insert Pavia into this offense, and I think we have just one loss.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Pavia is just a dude.
He's a baller. He's a dude.
Yeah, you look down on some of these kids because of where they are currently, but he found his way to the SEC and he got a chance to prove that he can do it on the big scale. Nobody bought it at New Mexico State because it was more about Auburn just kind of blowing it than it was them beating Auburn. But now that he's gone to Vanderbilt and done it against Alabama, you just got to give him his flowers, man. Come on.
He's a dude.
He's a dude. Yeah.
He's a dude.
Man, they didn't put 40 on us. Right? They put 40 on Bama.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is 40 crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Big Homie says Hugh Freeze is Auburn's problem. He hasn't made any adjustments. His offense is too complicated for the QB.
I wondered if this, what is this offense, man? Like, this thing worked, in 2016 and 2015. Does it still work today? Has the game passed them by?
Well, there's a lot of teams running versions of the RPO, and they're not turning the ball over in insane numbers like Auburn has been doing. So I think there is a version of this offense that is efficient and can be good for your team. I just think that Hugh Freeze is asking QBs, and he has a young QB in Hank Brown, who I think if you stay with him and work with him, he'll improve. But I think that you're asking your QB to make a lot of decisions, nuanced decisions in games that he makes wrong. He makes the wrong choice, Mike. It's a pick six.
Yeah.
Or it's a pick in a most inopportune time. Or you know what I mean? It's those types of things. And I think one of the things we talked about in the offseason, we talked about this, Mike. We looked at QBs under Hugh Freeze since he's been a coach. Going all the way back to Arkansas State. And a lot of QBs under Hugh Freeze turned the ball over a lot. They had 10 turnovers within a season. So QBs in his system do tend to turn the ball over a lot because he's asking a lot out of them in terms of their in-game decision-making, in terms of reading the defense. Defenses are good at disguising stuff. It's a good chance you can bait like what happened with Oklahoma. I think Hugh Freeze is trying to correct that. That's why he's taking some of those decisions away. You've noticed the turnovers have gone down tremendously. He's going to have to figure out a version of his offense that works for his personnel.
Right.
Plain and simple. Darius Lee says Cam was the last 5-star to win NFL MVP. All others were 3 stars or lower. Rodgers, Mahomes, and more have the will to win.
Yeah, like there are more 3-stars, all pros in the NFL than there are 5-stars.
And I think
Just
this
the
is
way
one
it
of
is.
one of the things that, I mean, obviously there was a lot going on around this hire and other things. I get that. One of the things that excited me about someone like a Harsin is they did focus on this right here. Right?
Yeah.
We wanted to bring in someone like a Mahomes, and they go on to be amazing in the league, which means
Yeah.
they were good in college,
Yeah, you just
right?
had an eye for talent, right? Like,
Yeah,
because just because you weren't rated a 3-star, a 5-star, doesn't mean that you aren't ultimately, you don't have a 5-star ceiling.
right.
You could. It's just about where you're at in your development at the time, and some people develop a lot further along once they get to the league. So it's just interesting to see. Tuberville's staff was really good at finding guys nobody else
Very
wanted
good,
and
man.
turning them into all pros.
And he did that even by bringing in 4-stars. He would bring in a 4 and a 5-star here and there,
Yeah.
but he again, he was great at talent eval.
Yeah.
Great at talent eval. So, Mike, before we get out of here, man, closing thoughts on just Auburn's 2-4 season up so far and where we go from here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of. I said all I had to say. The coaching staff just has to get it together. Figure out some version of this that can win you 4 more games somehow by any means. I don't care. I don't think anybody cares what it looks like at this point. Get the 6 wins, find a way to win a bowl game, keep your recruiting momentum going, and then find a QB in the offseason. That's the story. That's all that's left of the season for Auburn. And if you could throw in an embarrassing Iron Bowl upset in Tuscaloosa on one of your worst seasons ever, bonus points.
What a way to end the season.
Yeah, would be fantastic.
If
Vanderbilt can do it, it's possible. It's ain't saving over there.
Yeah. Yeah, you cool your seat off doing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike. Tell the people how they can get a green name and other good stuff.
Well, I want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/rapport. Use code Get Your Weight Up to get 15% off your weights and code TWR to get $65 off your fire pits and Kamado grills. Also, I want to thank show sponsor Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com and use code RAPPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping. Caesar, the days of using the same trimmer for your balls and your face are over. We're sophisticated men in a sophisticated world.
That's nasty work.
Yeah, nasty work, right? Well, they're making it cleaner work here at Manscaped. So visit manscaped.com, use code RAPPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping on their Beard and Balls bundle. That's the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger. One for the balls and one for the face, as it should be. Again, we're civilized men in a civilized world. We're doing things the right way these days. Manscaped is helping us do that. You can become a member of the War Report by hitting that join button. We appreciate our Green Name gang for continuing to help us grow our community. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank show sponsor Autograph. Guys, download the Autograph app in your phone's app store today. This is absolutely free. Costs you nothing. Use our code when you sign up, code RAPPORT. And that will populate so they know that you came from us. But they're great sponsors of the War Report. They gather all your team content, no matter what sport it is, whether it's basketball, college football, NBA, whatever it is. And they put it all in one spot for you so you get notifications when articles drop, when news happens, when podcasts drop. Also, if you want tickets to games, you can get them through the Autograph app. So visit your phone's app store and download Autograph today.
Dustin Pace is already wanting us to make phone calls. Call Clark Lee and Jerry Kill yesterday.
All right.
Cart before the horse.
Okay.
You have to address your head coach. I don't want to be looking for another head coach.
That'd be bad for Auburn. Yeah, I just want you freeze to get it together.
Yeah. That's what we want. I'm sure we all want that, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later. All right, let's get out of here. As always, guys, you know what to do. Share this video, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can find us on X and Instagram at The War Report. We are TW Report on TikTok. Zipper now, guys. We will definitely be back to cover Hugh Freeze's. Does he have a presser this week?
No.
He doesn't have a presser this week, but we have some content, and I know you've been doing power rankings, so definitely be locked here as we do some content throughout the week. We definitely be having the midweek report. Until then, Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always,